anti-war demonstrators protest U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War in mass marches, rallies, and demonstrations.
Hey, Joe, where you going, run your way.
The 1960s were a tumultuous time for this country. You had all of the controversy over the Vietnam War, the racial tensions that existed in this country.
It may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words of the bad people and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people.
But we also know that only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.
The factions that developed over how we should operate as a society, all of the controversy over the redesign of healthcare.
The Harry S. Truman Library at Independence, Missouri is the scene of an historic event. President and Mrs. Johnson and Vice President Humphrey arrive for ceremonies that will make the Medicare bill a part of Social Security coverage.
Medicare changed everything. Medicare was going to change how we practice medicine.
In a way, I look back and say it was providential. Having Medicare gave us hope that there would be a way to finance a practice if we moved to Loma Linda.
For 50, 55 years, students spent the first 2 years on the farm and the last 2 years in the city. And it actually worked out very well. However, the accrediting bodies, they said you cannot really integrate the sciences with the clinical experience being 60 miles apart.
So pressure was being put on all the schools across the country who were on split campuses, of which we were one. Stanford University was this way. So here we were, we're 60 miles apart. What are we going to do? And it began to be a consistently appearing accreditation issue. Stanford had made their decision, and they were in the process of moving to Palo Alto.
And they just came right out and said, you're the only medical school left in the United States with 2 campuses. You're going to have to get together. We got Stanford together, and you're going to get together. Well, you know, you mention Stanford, everybody starts to shiver.
The question was, should the school unite on the Loma Linda campus or White Memorial and the LA campus?
All the pressure was to move the medical school to Los Angeles.
You got to imagine Loma Linda in the 1950s and 60s. I mean, it was small. When you got a small community, which is nicknamed the farm, there's not a lot of opportunities for clinical experience.
So this became very intense, and committee after committee was appointed. Nobody could make a decision about anything. It was just too delicate. I said, there has to be a clear-cut decision made, or the school is finished. It'll never survive.
Well, initially I thought because of the training program for clinicians and the use of the LA County Hospital with White Memorial, that it seemed like the move should be to Los Angeles. But then I began to realize and wanted to deal with the issue of what did God want us to do? And I came to the conclusion that the move should be in this direction if Dr. Hinshaw and others thought it could be accomplished.
I said, I believe it can be done if the church gets behind it. And I believe it's the right thing to do.
Dr. Hinshaw said it is possible, we can do it. So many people said, no, it's impossible.
The decision went back and forth, but eventually settled on the fact that the move should be to Loma Linda.
They called an emergency meeting that night of the medical staff. Everybody thought this was the end of the school, that obviously I had lost my mind. So this was the state of affairs.
Well, at first I thought this is never going to work. Some people were grossly unhappy, and some people left.
My father kept coming home and saying, we need to consider moving to Loma Linda. Now, I didn't really understand at that time the school consolidating, things like that. I just knew that I liked living here, and Loma Linda was out there, and I didn't want to go out there.
It was not a popular move with the clinicians. It wasn't popular at all, and very unpopular.
When the medical school decided to move out here, the local doctors were not very happy. They weren't anxious for Loma Linda to come out.
And of course, there were several things that were quickly evident. One was that a new medical center had to be built. How are you going to staff this place? I mean, are there going to be any patients out here?
There was uncertainty in our minds, but one of the things that was a great encouragement is that we could be up on the hill near the Loma Linda Sanitarium and Hospital. We could look down the hill and see the hole being dug for building the new medical center. Being able to look down and see that going gave us courage and hope that there'd be something better downstream.
It was successful, primarily because God was behind this, but secondarily because there was a critical mass, not a large number, but a critical mass of the clinical faculty in Los Angeles who agreed with Dr. Hinshaw that the future is in Loma Linda. They came out here, they left lucrative practices, successful practices, to join the farm. And they made it work. They made it work.